Hello, this is Mark Tucker with a new APL Components video for viewers of the Dabble Lab channel. In this video, we'll learn about the EditText component. If you want to follow along in APL Ninja, look for the project link in the description. Let's go. So in our project, we are talking today about the EditText component. If you notice off on the right here, in other uses, this might be called an input box or a text box. But in EditText, what allows you to do in APL is to enter in values with a keyboard, an on-screen keyboard, and there's lots of different things that you can do. In this example, we're going to talk about an email address, a password, and age. In order to do that, then we're going to apply some styles to these EditText boxes, and it's going to to specify things like the border width and the border color. This value that you see right here when there's no value entered at all is the hint. So we're specifying a color for the hint, a color for text when we actually are typing in here. We can highlight part of the text, and so there's a highlight color. We specify the font size, and this is what it normally looks like. And then we have two different states that we're caring about. When we're actually in a specific EditText box, then we're going to get a focus color. So if we were to go here, then we can see that we're getting this focused color here. And we get a red boundary on our EditText when it's not focused, but the state is checked. Now, we're doing something a little bit different here for validation. Every component, if we come over here to EditText, let's go ahead and go to the top here. If you notice, there's base components, and part of all the base components that we have is that everything has a certain properties like checked and disabled. Since checked isn't really being used in this situation, we're going to use it for the purpose of what happens when your EditText is in an invalid validation state. So when state is checked is true, then it's in an invalid state. It's something that's not meeting the requirements for that box, and so we're going to indicate that by having a red border around. Let's get down here to the main section. There's nothing really going on, no data that we have in our data section. And this is just typically the container that takes up the whole space. We're giving it some padding here on the sides and on the top. The first thing that we have is this entry here that says disallow edit text, true or false. And we're getting that from our data binding context off of environment.disallow edit text. And that's something that we can see here. Not every display screen that supports APL is going to support editing editable text. And so this allows you to know if your screen does or not and be able to behave appropriately. While we're here, let's kind of just go through here. So similar to the frame, we've got a border color, border stroke width, border width. Like I said, this is the color of the text when you're normally entered in, along with its font information, a separate highlight color, hint, and along with its hint color style weight. You can specify a keyboard type, and that's so that depending on what you're entering in, then you'll get a proper keyboard. So you've got a decimal keypad, which is numbers in a decimal point, versus a number pad. You've got one that is optimized for email addresses. You've got your normal keyboard, one for phone numbers and one for URLs. So those are some things to keep in mind there. You can also specify a max length, which is the maximum number of characters that you want in your text box. A couple of events, we're going to be talking about the onTextChanged event and using commands to do something with that. You can, for example, your password, You can say secure input is true, and so then you won't be able to actually see what you've typed in. You'll just get some dots there. Select on focus. So when you go into, your text box gets the focus, do you want all the text to be, highlighted from the start? And there's some things that you can do with, like on submit. We're not going to cover that in this example. The text that's actually in the text box, and then which characters are valid to enter in. So let's take a look at how that's implemented over here. So for our first text box, which is email, we've got an ID here, email edit, and we're setting by default that the checked is false, meaning that there is no error in this box to begin with. And we've got the hint set to email, and on this case we've got select on focus set to true. So we'll show you what that means here. This would use the email address keyboard. APL Ninja doesn't actually show you the keyboards, but you can use your normal keyboard and mouse to test out the other features. In this case, we're allowing the minus character, plus character, A through Z, either uppercase or lowercase, 0 through 9, underscore, and the @ sign. Those are all things that are valid for characters to enter in. So, we could type in a@b.com. That's good. We've lost focus onto the next one. If we come back here, the select on focus is going to automatically highlight the whole thing, and we can control what the color is on this selection as well. So we've got that. Password, like we say, we can type in a password, and we get secure characters here. That's what this secure input does for us. And we've got some validation on that. And then on age, I'm typing in on the keyboard characters like AAS. Nothing's working, but when I get to numbers, then I can enter in numbers. So that's what basically things are doing. Let's take a look. There's also this text area here at the bottom that's going to give us an error message. Like if we don't have enough characters here, it says, oh, password must be 8 characters or longer. So like if we were to leave, that's where we get the red border saying, oh, this isn't completely valid. In this case, if we leave here, it says, oh, email is a required field, and we get an indication that we need to put in a value in the email address here. And the same thing with this, like if you were to do, oh, age must be between 0 and 130. So that's what we've got here. That works. All right, so let's take a look at how this validation or editing works. And we'll start off with the first one, our email. So that's what this onTextChanged. So as we make a change to values in this field, this onTextChanged event is going to fire, and it's going to select. We've got one command here, which is the select command. I think we've looked at the select command before, but typically if we have something like the sequential command, then it's just, we can have a whole bunch of different events, and it's going to fire one event right after the other. But if we want to have control over which ones fire and which ones don't, then we're going to use the select command. And what that does is it's going to find, so the format is you say select, and then you have a commands array, and you've got multiple commands here, each with a when, or remember if there's no when at all, then that defaults to true. So it's going to go through and find the first one that is true, and it's going to fire that. If it doesn't find any that's true, then it goes to this, let's see if we can find an example. It goes to this otherwise. So if it can't find anything that has a when clause that's true here, then it goes and does whatever is in the otherwise. And so that way you can control which one or which grouping of commands get fired. So in this case, we've got our commands and we have our otherwise. We're using otherwise in this case as, oh, this is a valid, it's passed validation. Anything in this command section up here is if it's failed a validation check. So here what we're saying is if it hasn't failed a validation up here, then it must be good. So we're going to go ahead and set the value of this message text down here to empty string, and we're going to set the checked property of the control that we're on, which in this case is the edit text, and we're going to go ahead and say that that the value of checked is false. So that's how we can get the red border to go away. So what does the error checking actually look like? So right here, when you get a onTextChanged event, you get an event.source.value passed, and that's going to include what the string is that is currently entered in. So if there isn't something in this box, which is in this case now, then it's going to go ahead and say, it's going to find this one case, and then it's a sequential command that is going to say, I'm going to do these two things. So that's basically saying, when this happens, then I want these two things to happen. So I'm going to set the text to email is required. I'm going to set the checked property of this field to true, which is going to give us that red border. So these other ones work the same way. I don't know if there's going to be really anything different. In this box right here, we're checking the password. So what we're doing is it's got a couple of different whens in the select clause. So it's going to check to see if there's nothing there, and it's going to say, oh, the password's required. So if I go like this, then the password is required. But if I still start typing, the password's not long enough. So there's going to be actually a second check here on the event source and checking the length and see if it's less than 8, which is what I'm requiring here. And if it is, then I'm going to give a message that it's not long enough, and also set the value to checked is true. So then we get the red border. So that's how that one differs. The otherwise is the same. It's going to clear this message and it's going to clear the checked value, so the border goes away. And then in this last case with the numbers, we are going to take this, check to see if this event.source.value converted to an int is greater than 130. If it is, then we're going to say the age must be between 0 and 130, and then should be actually setting the checked value here to red. On that one, I'll get that fixed here in just a minute, and then this one is going to go ahead and clear this up. So let's just go ahead and add that here. So this is the otherwise. In this case, which we should be able to do, let's see if this was, oh, this was a sequential, yeah. Let's just take this whole thing. Boom. There's that. All right, so we've got that. And then, oops. And then this last thing that we need to do to fix this one is it's going to be a sequential command. Let's see. Age. Yeah, we're going to have to do this. Bum, bum, bum. And then we're going to go ahead and take that. That in there. Oh. And where was that? Command. That's going to end that command. The Let's see if I got this right. Boom. There we go. That means that I can then go ahead on this one and take this set command here. So this is going to set the border around age. Age, first one, second command. So that means if I were to do something bigger, I'd leave and I get the red border. Once I get it to something smaller, which it should. Sequence otherwise, set check defaults. Anyway, I'll take a quick look at that and get that fixed here before the final version of it. Anyway, sorry for that last minute editing on that one, but we'll get that taken care of in the final source here. So in this episode, we learned about the EditText component, onTextChanged, the select command, and styles for checked and focused. In the next video, we'll review events and commands. So with this video, we've completed all of the basic components that are included as part of APL. And so in this coming up video, we're going to talk specifically about events and commands that relate to all of the different components that are built in. And then we'll finish up with a final video in the series where we'll give an introduction to some of the other components that are kind of more of the composite components. I hope you find this video helpful. Please let me know with a like or a share. Thank you for watching.